Okay, so I'm going to show you a tool called Live Paint, which I think is going to be really useful for the exercise that you're doing in studio and go a lot faster than just creating shapes and filling each individual bounded stroke one by one. So before I show you how it works on the whole image, I'm just going to show you the concepts behind Live Paint. The idea with Live Paint is that you can have any stroke. And I'm going to create a bunch of rectangles right on top of each other to show you this. You can select any stroke and you can create an object called Live Paint and make an object. And what it does is it bounds any stroke, it binds any stroke that you create and puts this little bounding box around it. And from there you can use the Live Paint bucket to essentially paint by numbers. And you'll see that as you move over your Live Paint object, it'll understand the boundaries of that object. How it works, you can take color and you can fill in an area. Take another color, fill in an area. Take another color, fill in an area, and so on. So as you see me do this, you can imagine how this might apply to your studio project. So there are going to be times where you want to take this live group or live paint group and modify it. And so the way that works is you double click on the live paint group and you'll see in the top left corner you'll be inside that group, live paint group, with an option to go back outside of the isolation box. And it's here that you can take your rectangles and move them around, and it understands what is still binded. And so it'll create and adjust the painted colors as such. So that's really nice. The other thing that you'll want to do is you may want to create new line work and create boundaries of your own. And when you do that with inside the Live Paint group, you can click on the bucket again and you'll have new boundaries that you can then apply to new colors. So it's a really versatile tool that will come in really handy for this studio project. Alright, so the next tool that we're going to learn is called Live Trace. And someone asked me in class about being able to bring shadows into Illustrator and have them be vector based. Well, you can't do that, but you can change raster images inside Illustrator and make them vector based. And I'm going to do that right now and show you how we can turn these shadows from raster shadows into vector shadows. So you go ahead and select any raster image and go to Object, Live Trace, Tracing Options. Alright, and we're going to change the mode to grayscale so it understands the shadows. And we're going to change the corner angle to 0 so it gives us nice sharp corners. And we're going to hit Trace. And then in the upper menu, we're going to hit Expand, and it's going to create vertices for each one of the points that it recognizes. Alright, so once you expand that live trace and create those vertices, you can go to Object and make a live paint bounding box. You'll have the ability to click on the bucket and isolate those bounded areas. One of the things that you might want to do at first, though, is take your fill and turn it to clear so that you can take your bounding box and quickly select the black so that you're just filling in shadows really quickly. If there are areas that you need to adjust, like down here, you can double click on the live paint group. You can draw in your own boundary lines, and now those boundary lines will be able to be filled with clear, and you can move back out of your live paint group. Okay, let's bring it all together and start from the imported layout file. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to organize our layers. And so one of the things that Illustrator does when it brings in the layout files is it creates one big clip mask group for all these items. And so we're going to go ahead and just go to the clipping mask and release this group. Okay? And so what this does is it releases all these paths so that we can work with them. And we're going to go ahead and organize these paths. So I'm going to click on one of the section cut lines. I'm going to go to Select, Same, Stroke Weight. And it's going to select all the section cut strokes, and I'm going to go ahead and Object and group them. Apple G is the shortcut. And then I'm going to go into all the light lines, and I'm going to select Same, Stroke Weight, and I'm going to group all those. Okay, when I look in my first layer, I'll see now 3 groups. This group is the section group, so I'm going to name that Section Cuts. This group is the light line group. I'll name this Light Line. And then the last group is the raster image. And I'm going to name this raster image. Next, I'm going to make a background for my project. And you'll notice that SketchUp and Layout automatically bring in a path that is a full background path. It's white when it comes in, so what we're going to do is we're going to select that path and give it a color. I'm going to give it a medium gray. And then I'm going to take the bottom of that box and I'm going to bring it up to the bottom of my stair to create a white section down below. And I'm going to click on path and I'm going to name it background. So now that we have all our layers set up, my section cuts, light line, raster image, and background, I can lock my raster image and background layer and start to work on filling my section cut and my light line layer using the live paint tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select both the groups for my section cuts and my light line. And I'm going to go to Object, Live Paint, and then Make. And so you'll see the live paint bounding box around those. And you'll see that now with my paint bucket tool, I've got access to all these spaces. And I'm able to drop color into those spaces. So let's go ahead and do that. So now we can take our paint bucket tool, our live paint bucket tool, and we can select white as our fill color. And we can go in and start to fill our section with white. Now notice that because I haven't gone in and cleaned up this section, I have to select it in small pieces. But when we go back and turn off our line work, you'll see that it's not going to matter because each one of these filled areas is going to turn white, and we'll be able to cut our section quickly using live paint.